Welcome to Next Gen Manufacturing. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on something incredible, the massive, coordinated effort it takes to build a modern factory from nothing. You know, it's less like a typical construction project and way more like a finely tuned orchestra.
So let's just start with the big question, right? How in the world do you build a billion-dollar industrial plant from scratch? I mean, think about it. A new refinery, a massive chemical plant. These are projects that take years, thousands of people, and just mountains of cash. Where do you even begin with something that complex?
Well, the very first decision a company has to make is this huge dilemma. Do you try to do it yourself? I mean, that's a massive undertaking. You'd have to find all these specialized experts that you probably don't have, and you'll never need them again once the factory's built. Or do you hire a specialized engineering firm? You know, hand the keys over to people whose entire business is mastering this incredibly high-stakes game.
And that choice leads us to the solution. You bring in a maestro. See, when you hire one of these firms, you're not just hiring builders, you are hiring a conductor for a vast, complex symphony of specialists, making sure every single person plays their part perfectly and at exactly the right time.
Right at the heart of it all is one person, the project director. This is your conductor. From the second the contract is signed until that plant is fully up and running, they are the single leader responsible for the whole thing. Their job is to direct every single phase to hit 3 critical targets: on time, on budget, and built to the absolute highest quality.
Now, of course, the project director isn't working alone. They're leading this entire orchestra of specialists. We're talking about dozens of teams, or corps de métiers as they call it in the industry. You've got process engineers designing the core chemistry, civil engineers laying the foundation, absolute experts for every single pipe and valve, specialists for all the electrical and control systems. It is just this huge, incredible ensemble of expertise.
Okay, so this timeline, this is where you really see the genius of the planning. A big project like this unfolds over years, kind of like a symphony in 4 movements. It all kicks off with intense design work. But look closely. Procurement, that's buying all the parts, starts while designs are still being tweaked, and construction begins long before all the equipment is even on site. This crazy overlap is absolutely crucial. It's the only way to get these colossal projects done in anything resembling a reasonable time frame.
So how do you manage all that controlled chaos? Well, it all comes down to the blueprint. In this next part, we're going to see exactly how a simple concept gets turned into a set of plans, so incredibly detailed that absolutely nothing is left to chance. All right, to really get a handle on this, we're going to zoom way in. We're just going to follow the journey of one small piece of a refinery, a unit called a gasoline stripper. It's a pretty standard component, but watching how it comes to life shows you the unbelievable level of detail we're talking about.
So the plan gets built up in layers. First, you have the process flow diagram, the PFD. Think of this as the basic recipe. It shows what goes in, what comes out, and the main steps. But then, that gets blown up into a Piping and Instrumentation Diagram, the PNID. And this is where the detail just explodes. Every single pipe, every valve, every pump, every sensor gets added to the drawing. From there, you get spec sheets for every single item. And finally, all of that data is used to build a complete, virtual 3D model of the entire plant.
And this is the level of detail we're talking about. This is just a tiny piece of the actual data sheet for our gasoline stripper. It defines everything: the exact operating pressure, the precise temperature down to the degree, the specific type of steel you have to use, its total capacity, and get this, every single component in that plant, right down to the nuts and bolts, has a data sheet just like this.
And all of that meticulous planning leads to this, the ultimate goal. The 3D model lets the entire team visualize and basically build the entire factory in virtual reality first. They can find problems like pipes clashing with each other and plan out the construction sequence, all before a single piece of real steel is ever cut. Solving problems on a computer screen is cheap and fast. Finding them on a construction site is an absolute disaster.
Okay, so let's connect the dots here. We have these massive stacks of documents, these incredible digital models. How does all that actually become a real physical plant? Well, this is where the orchestra really starts to play in perfect harmony.
Every single document is a set of instructions for a different team. The procurement folks use those spec sheets to order millions of parts from all over the world. The construction crews use the layout plans to pour concrete foundations with millimeter precision. Piping crews get these cool 3D drawings called isometrics to build and install every single pipeline correctly. And at the very end, the startup specialists use the PNIDs to literally write the instruction manual for the plant and bring the whole thing to life.
So, What's the big takeaway from all this? It's the sheer invisible complexity that our entire modern world runs on. The fuel in your car, the plastics in your phone, the power in your home, all of it is the end result of this highly structured, incredibly methodical, and frankly, brilliant engineering process that most of us never, ever see.
And if you could boil this entire philosophy down to one guiding principle, it would be this. As Marie-Christine Charrier, who wrote our source material, says, the success of these massive projects all depends on the attention paid to the smallest detail. It's not about one big grand gesture, it's about getting a million tiny things exactly right.
So the next time you drive past a sprawling factory or some complex piece of infrastructure, just take a second. Think about that invisible symphony of engineers, designers, and builders who made it happen. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What hidden orchestra built the world around you? Thanks for joining Next Gen Manufacturing.